Welcome to Big Movie Mouth Off on Xfinity, Channel 1, Utah On Demand, Salt Lake Alternative.
Good job.
I know. We're here at Broovy Cinema Pub today to review, actually to do our best of list. By the way, we're sponsored by PC Laptops. I'm Jeff Weiss from MSN Entertainment and X96's Radio from Hell.
And I'm Jimmy Martin with SLUG Magazine.
Should we talk about the movies we agree on first?
I think so. It's been a rough year.
Yeah.
Up and downs, but there's been a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, for example, Inception made both of our lists.
Great film.
Mind-blowing. Waking Sleeping Beauty, the Disney animation documentary.
See, I like Waking Sleeping Beauty because you've got... This year there were a lot of documentaries that were very, I'd say, raw, and like you didn't...
Right.
So almost the validity was questioned, whether or not... But Waking Sleeping Beauty is just that perfect like story.
And it's so it's so insider.
Exactly. And, you know, if anybody wants to know anything about Disney, you can find out, but...
Yeah, it was shot by some little guy named Little Johnny Lasseter.
Oh, little guy.
Yeah. Plus, they liked us. They liked our drunken review. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World wound up on both of our lists, too.
Again, it's one of those films for me. I mean, I said it before. It's that kind of film that you've never seen before. And so, you know, Edgar Wright just nailed it.
And I will make this bold statement again. There are things that Edgar Wright does with the action in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World that I don't think were properly acknowledged and that other filmmakers will be ripping off for the next 10 years.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, 2 years ago, if you would have asked me, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, whenever Superbad came out, if I looked at Michael Cera and said, he could be an action star, I would have told you, no.
Oh, especially after year one, I would have gone, you, sir, are a bald-faced liar.
You're an idiot.
Yeah. 127 Hours made both of our lists.
That's going to be the film that Franco wins his Oscar for, in my opinion.
Hopefully.
I think he will.
Hopefully. He's really good. And I really enjoy the way they're now touting the film, which was T-shirts that say, I kept my eyes through 127 hours. Bravo, Fox Searchlight.
Yeah, I think there's a video of Franco and his grandmother, and she says that she kept her eyes open, and why does everybody have to be a bunch of pussies?
Yeah, exactly. And Toy Story 3 made both of our lists, too, which was my favorite animated film of 2010.
Isn't it? Well, yeah. I mean, anytime Pixar puts something out,
unless it's called Cars.
Yeah, Cars had its moments, but yes, you know, every time we all hit a speed bump in our lives, but Pixar, my God, they can't be stopped.
And I love the fact also that there are animated films which have sort of satisfying stories, and then there's a Pixar film where it has a better story than 90% of what Hollywood produces.
That's true.
And better developed characters.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have issue, we've gotten to this debate before, whether animation movies should be allowed into the Best Picture, just because there is a Best Picture category. But, oh my God, if anybody's going to be able to get into that Best Picture category, it's Pixar and definitely Toy Story 3.
Well, and if they're going to expand the field to 10 features a year in the Oscars, Pixar's always going to be in there.
That's true. That's very true.
And my favorite film of 2010 was on both of our lists, True Grit, which to me is the most... And don't get me wrong, I love Raising Arizona, I love Fargo, I love Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, but to me, True Grit is the most crowd-pleasing Coen Brothers movie to date. And coincidentally, it has also become their biggest hit to date. It will become the first $100 million Coen Brothers movie.
And kudos to them for doing it. I mean, the Coen Brothers, for me, it's almost like Pixar. They've never, like, completely flopped.
No.
Yes, some are better than others.
Right, and when there's a failure, it's an interesting failure.
Yeah.
They don't make uninteresting movies.
Exactly. But, I mean, True Grit... My God, to make like a John Ford movie.
Yes, in this day and age, a wry John Ford film.
The beautiful landscapes, Jeff Bridges. I mean, he'll probably get nominated, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The girl,
Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld. I mean, she should get nominated, like I said before, as lead actress, not supporting, because this is her film. Like, give me a break. I don't know if no other female is in this movie, and count the screen time of who's longer in that movie.
Well, she's in the first 15 minutes of the movie. She narrates the film. I'm just saying. For things we disagreed on, I want to...
we say disagree. Well, it's not that, like, we...
Yeah.
Well, one of them, we'll get to that one.
Yeah. There were some things that were on my list that weren't on yours.
Yeah.
Cyrus.
I think it was a great film.
The first, in my opinion, great mumblecore film, and a lot of it had to do with John C. Reilly's heartfelt performance in the film.
And see, it's funny I mentioned the same film again. You go back 3 years ago or whenever Superbad came out, I never would have thought Jonah Hill would have been able to give a performance like that.
No. And the stuff between he and John C. Reilly is genuinely great. It's well known that I'm a huge animation nut, and How to Train Your Dragon also made my top 10 list. In any other year, if there weren't a Pixar film, How to Train Your Dragon would probably be talked up as the best animated film
Easily.
of the year.
It's one of the years that DreamWorks comes in with not only How to Train Your Dragon. I don't think Megamind made either of our top 10 lists. I'd probably put in top 20 for sure.
Right.
But great year for DreamWorks, but the big kid in school comes in with Pixar and puts out Toy Story 3.
Oh, those bullies. If only they would have done so in Shrek years.
Yeah.
Terribly Happy, which not a lot of people saw. A really great noir thriller, sort of the Twin Peaks of noir thrillers, and to me, the best ending of any film of 2010.
Great acting, great ending. This film actually reminded me of like the Coen Brothers, like in the early days.
Yes,
like Blood Simple.
Yes,
and
Miller's Crossing. Too.
Exactly, and not to confuse it with the Asian remake of Blood Simple, which was a noodle shop, a lady and a gun, or something.
A woman, a gun, and a noodle shop.
But these guys, Terribly Happy. Just the look of it, the feel of it. I mean, they nailed it. Of this like dark, kind of film noirish.
Yeah, and I hope people, especially those who love foreign cinema, will go seek this out. It's actually available on Netflix and on video, and they should definitely look it up. I sort of cheated with one film on my top 10 list because it hasn't opened in Salt Lake yet, but I saw it.
I'm upset.
And that's the new Mike Leigh film, Another Year, which has one of the only other female performances that has blown me away to the degree that Haley Steinfeld did.
Yeah. And I will agree with you on performance.
Yeah.
But for me, this film fell apart in the third act.
Really?
Yeah. I became very just tiresome with it. I hated it because I loved the performance so much. It was watching this character just making it every awkward situation worse. Basically an alcoholic.
Yes, she...
And just, having her friends have to deal with her. And I loved it. But then it almost just became like they didn't know what to do with her towards the end. And maybe that's, when you're the outsider dealing with an alcoholic, you don't know what to do with them.
Yes. But, and they, to Mike Leigh's credit, he does not try to redeem the character.
He does not. I'll give him that.
Yes. And maybe I just reacted to it because I love this character, as pathetic and horrible a person as she is, and wow, don't we all know this person?
Yeah.
I just love that one character
we
so
all
much.
got one.
Yeah. But don't we all?
I think for me, why it struck me so hard is that 2010's been kind of a rough year for lead females. I haven't seen anything that really struck me like, you are going to get this. I mean, Natalie Portman was great in Black Swan. I think Nicole Kidman was great in Rabbit Hole. But I think it's anybody's game for this one. And so anybody that showed really great potential, then it kind of stuck out. For me, for another year, that one stuck out for me.
Yeah. What about your films that aren't on my list?
Oh, man, there's a lot. Well, not a few. I like The Fighter.
Yeah, and if we were doing our full a top 20 list, The Fighter would actually make my list.
The Fighter for me was really well acted, really well shot. I love the boxing scenes in it, that they feel like they were shot for an HBO boxing match. It was very real, very gritty. But what steals the entire show for me is Christian Bale.
It's another one of those performances.
I'll put $20 right down now that he's going to win Best Actor for Best Supporting Role, Best Supporting Actor.
He deserves it. And the thing I really like about The Fighter, even though it didn't make my top 10 list, is here's a sports drama. And so much of it is not actually about the sport. It's about the family relationships.
I mean, talk about the family. You've got Mark Wahlberg, who starts a relationship with Amy Adams, who...
Wow, she's amazing in this, by the way.
She's great. The Melissa Leo, who plays Mark Wahlberg's mom, is, oh my God, even better than I would say Amy Adams. You've got so many great performances, but what's even better is Mark Wahlberg's family, who are these extended sisters, who... basically throughout the film mumble and groan and just hate Amy Adams.
Yeah, they're like a horrible Greek chorus.
But together they make one of the greatest like character combinations this year. I mean, perfect drama, perfect comedy. I loved it. I thought it was one of the really good ones. Another one is a documentary. You don't see many documentaries these days where you sit on the edge of your seat.
Right.
And that's how I was with Catfish. So, and a lot of people call him Catfish like the real Facebook movie because it's about a guy who befriends, this girl on Facebook and doesn't know if it's really who she is, and it's all mistaken identities and lies, deception. But I loved it because it was, for me, this guy who didn't want to be involved in a documentary, but his friends just kind of pulled him into it and was in this world of, God, I don't really want to be here. This is kind of creepy. And they're like, come on, just take one more step. And it's like the carrot with the donkey, know?
Yes. And I know there are questions as to how factual Catfish is.
Yeah.
To which I would answer some of those criticisms with, how factual is a Michael Moore documentary?
It's true.
For example.
Or any documentary for that
And I did like Catfish, but I just love the real documentary feel and the fly-on-the-wall-ish nature of Waking Sleeping Beauty more.
Yeah. I mean, Waking Sleeping Beauty. I start dreaming when I think about that movie.
Yeah, and here's another film that's on your top 10 list that actually would make my top 20. That's Micmacs, the new film by Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
It's the same guy who did Amelie. I mean, beautiful, visionary. I mean, characters that you will never forget. Scenes that are hilarious and like heartbreaking all at the same time. Touching. Just the concept of a guy trying to take down two weapons companies.
Yes.
Because he got shot in the head.
Well, yeah, one killed his dad.
Well, a mine killed his dad, and then a bullet went in his head that got lodged. It's like he wants to take down the two manufacturing companies.
And for those who are familiar with Rube Goldberg devices,
yes,
imagine a movie that's just a series of Rube Goldberg devices, and that is Micmacs. It also has maybe my favorite scene in a movie, which is the how they did it scene. That's all I'll say. When you get to that scene, you'll go, aha, wow, that guy is a visual genius.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, and I don't want to ruin anything. I mean, it's one of those things, but it's like listening to like an old like radio show like in the 50s. It's sitting there on the carpet and just listening like, oh yeah, like he's creating a world with just sound. It was beautiful, and we were talking about this before we got on, but another film that did that this year was a movie called Lebanon.
Yes, which we both conveniently forgot.
I completely forgot about it, and then I got it today on Blu-ray and completely forgot how beautiful that movie is.
Das Tank.
Yeah.
Das Tank, essentially.
It's an entire
a war
film.
movie.
It's a war film that's filmed entirely in front of a tank. And the outside world, and you can tell, like, if you know much about the filmmaking process, you can tell that tank is not moving at all.
Nope.
And they just created this world with sound effects and, almost shaking the camera. But so good. So
it's suffocating almost.
That could be our
sleeper.
Our honorable mention sleeper.
Yes.
You want to talk about the one that we just completely disagree on?
Yeah, let's do it. This was your favorite movie of 2010.
This is my favorite film of 2010, and it's David Fincher's The Social Network. If you asked me, I mean, I keep going back, like, when I hear about films coming out, if you said, hey, Jimmy, you're going to like a movie about Facebook. No, I'm not. And I'm like, no, I'm not at all. But my God, did he blow me away with this film. Visually, with the writing, Aaron Sorkin's screenplay, Jesse Eisenberg, I think, did an amazing job. If James Franco wasn't in contention this year, I think he would be one of the top contenders for Oscar. I think the score, which I think was done by Trent Reznor.
It was done by Trent Reznor.
I mean, it's another. It adds another element to the film. It's this dark, unforgiving tale of greed and geniusness. I mean,
yeah, and see, it was a film that I liked the first time I saw it.
Yeah,
and then unfortunately they sent me a screener.
Yeah,
which was probably to their downfall because I watched it again, and I was struck at how full of artifice it is.
Yeah,
to me, it's an over-directed, overwritten, shallow film that says nothing about what it pretends it's saying something about.
That hurts me in the heart of hearts.
I know. I'm sorry, but we agree on True Grit, can't we?
True Grit, I will totally agree to the bitter end.
Yeah, I might revisit Social Network somewhere down the road, but it was one of those where I kind of felt like the rug had been pulled out from under my feet after I watched it again.
It's much better than the MySpace movie.
Well.
Or Friendster.
Isn't that Free Vengeance?
Yeah, probably. well, it was a good year, can't agree on all of them, but
No, and there's a lot of stuff to look forward to in 2011, but 2010 has set a high bar for the next year.
when you say that comment, I just can hear Thor screaming out of your head. That's what you're excited for, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.